What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. And from the New York Post, ChatGPT's liberal bias allows hate speech toward GOP men research. So, yes, ChatGPT has a bias. We've known this for at least a couple of months now. And the establishment, of course, would love nothing more than to create a robot that will browbeat you into submission. With that said, hate speech isn't a thing. They don't like GOP, they don't like men, they don't like conservatives, whatever. Doesn't mean it's hate speech. ChatGPT was apparently made to hate the GOP. A damning new report has detailed that the highly advanced language model AI was programmed not only with liberal biases like censoring the post-Hunter Biden coverage, but also to be more tolerant of hate-style speech towards the right wing by its creator, OpenAI. Yeah, I mean, it's so invasive. It's so intrusive. I mean, you can't trust Google. You can't trust DuckDuckGo. You literally can't trust anything. And then when you start to have your own ideas, they censor that, right? This is how deep it goes. And there's nobody at the top, like I always say, you can't go Karen. There's nobody who's going to actually fix the problems, who's going to address your grievances because they are all the way up the ladder in on this scam. OpenAI's content moderation system is more permissive of hateful comments made about conservatives than the exact same comments made about liberals, according to data from the Manhattan Institute, a conservative NYC-based policy and economic-driven think tank. Repeatedly, negative comments about Democrats were also more likely to be labeled as hateful than the same derogatory comments made about Republicans. Danger in the middle, the perils of political and demographic biases embedded in AI systems. Disparities in content flagged as hateful. Ideological orientation, likelihood of OpenAI content moderation filter flagging as hateful, a sentence containing a negative adjective about different ideological orientations. 6,764 sentences tested for each demographic group. So it doesn't look that different from what I can tell on this little chart here, but let's move on and see what they say. Beyond politics, similar tendencies were found in ChatGPT's moderation system about types of people, races, and religions as well. Yeah, of course. I mean, they're going to go to bat, right? I don't know where OpenAI is based out of, but I assume it's Silicon Valley out in California somewhere. So they're going to do the bidding for the establishment. How do you think they got $1 billion to get this thing off the ground? Or maybe not get it off the ground, but keep it up and running when it just exploded in popularity and they didn't have the infrastructure to keep it from crashing every 5 minutes, even more, 5 seconds really. Often the exact same statement was flagged as hateful when directed at certain groups, but not when directed at others. The report dangers of the machine, the perils of political and demographic biases embedded in AI systems noted. In regards to that, ChatGPT, which continues to make its way into the workforce, was found to be particularly harsh towards middle-class individuals. Interesting. The socioeconomic group in its upper tier were at the deep bottom in a lengthy listing of people and ideologies that were most likely to be flagged by the AI as a target of hateful commentary. There were only one above Republican voters, Republicans and wealthy people. Wow, this is very tough to read, but I mean, that chart is, Groups including Canadians, Italians, Russians, Germans, Chinese, and Brits are also apparently more protected for hate-like speech over Americans. Well, that makes sense. They don't like Americans. They don't like America. Well, they do. They do. They like the freedom it affords, but they don't want to admit that, right? They don't want to... They don't want to realize that they can only say these things because of the system that America has set up. So they're going to always pretend, play the victim, point the finger. I mean, it's with everything. I'm going to say it 100 million times because as long as they keep going, I'm going to keep going. But every single thing that they do is just a different way to gain the same control. It's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat. And they will tell you that you can't even say that anymore, right? I mean, you can't make a joke about Pete Buttigieg. You can't, PETA wants to remove eggs, which is probably not that bad of an idea because you shouldn't be wasting eggs when they cost an arm and a leg. Well, that's a different story, of course. An obvious disparity in treatment can be seen along gender lines. Negative comments about women were much more likely to be labeled as hateful than the exact same comments being made about men. And well, how could that be possible? Right? I mean, I'm not even exactly sure what a woman is. How could this AI know what a woman is? Can you even ask it what a woman is? Or is that going to just be flagged as bigotry, just asking the question? Now, we know, obviously, Matt Walsh has, put that question that narrative into the stratosphere. And just because he did it, it's deemed hateful. Now you see it on podcasts. You see these clips going viral left and right of people who know exactly what a woman is. And they are admitting now that they are scared to say it because they know that they will be beat into submission and possibly cancel, lose their job, this, that, and the other. But if everybody knows. So if everybody just stood up, it would end. But it won't happen that way. And there must have been something else that we saw in the past couple of years that if everybody just said, no, this doesn't make sense, it would have been over. But they just keep going because they're afraid. People have been beaten into submission. It's not Ye. Kanye's not afraid of the machine. I'm not afraid of the machine. I mean, what are you going to take from me? You could take $1 billion from Kanye. He's going to be fine. I don't have any of that, so I got nothing left to lose, bro. Let's go. Let's do it. Very consistently, most of the answers of the system were classified by these political orientation tests as left of center. Yeah, of course. Still, he found ChatGPT would deny such leanings. Naturally, they're never going to admit that they're biased, right? It's just like another story we saw just a day or two ago with Stephen A. Smith saying, yeah, I have a personal vendetta against Kyrie Irving, but it doesn't affect my reporting, right? It's like, well, so what you found this? It doesn't matter. It's not real. Because just because they say it, right? The fact that an establishment player, an establishment figure says something is enough to make it true. It does not get questioned. You could literally say anything. Well, I can't, you can't, but an establishment player could say anything, and just by the fact that it came out of the mouth, the brain, the head of an establishment player is enough to make it true. So they're just going to say, well, that's we don't have any bias. What are you talking about? And then that's it. No more questions. And it's also funny how when you use ChatGPT, they want you to prove that you're not a machine. And they also have, software. They have AI software to see if somebody is using AI software. And it's like, well, you wouldn't even know if you didn't have your own AI software. This is a very vicious cycle, especially when you consider their political leanings that they, of course, are going to deny. But then when I would ask ChatGPT explicitly, what is your political orientation? What are the political preferences? What is your ideology? Very often the system would say, I have none. I'm just a machine learning model and I don't have biases. Yeah, well, lie detector test determined that was a lie. So this goes on, but apparently that rule can be broken for lefties. I didn't even read the whole thing, but obviously that much is true. The rules can always be broken for lefties. The only rule is that there is no rules for lefties. Everybody knows that. And that's the entire point. That's why none of their stuff ever makes sense, because it's just to beat you into submission and know that they are still in control. They know they're hypocritical. They know that that's the point, is to prove to you that we can do whatever we want, but you can't, right? You can't protest a lockdown, but you can burn the city down for George Floyd. And a million other examples that are escaping me right now. But yes, ChatGPT has a bias. Everybody knows that. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And I also don't think it's really the apocalypse. People are saying they're all going to lose their job. And if you're halfway decent at your job, this thing won't take it from you. But if you're terrible, then you might be in danger. But with all that said, it still doesn't constitute hate speech. That's a completely made-up dystopian Democrat doublespeak euphemism. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't mean anything. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.